Hey everyone, my name is Rob Adamson and I'm happy to be here. I'm going to show you another inexpensive way to frame your paintings. And this is, some people call it a shadow box, some people call it a strip mold frame, but it's very inexpensive. If you have just a few tools, then you can do this. It's not very hard. I'm going to show you. So this is actually what the frame will look like. And this is a little painting, a little oil painting. You notice that it has, this is oak, it has an oak strip mold around it. You can buy this at any hardware store. It's Home Depot sells it, Lowe's. It's not very much money. So that's it, and it looks like this, but it comes in longer lengths, and you can buy it a longer length. So you have some that are oak, and some that are poplar, maple. There's all kinds of different shades of colors and things. So this one's an oak frame, and you notice that it sets on the side. Now this inset right here, as you can see, it's basically this, a piece of pine with the edge spray painted black. But it still works, it's okay. And I'll show you how that is put together so that you have that nice inset. That's where they call it sort of the floating picture shadow box. And the back has a substrate. The substrate has got some wood attached to it. So if you start with a panel, here's a painting, it's just a masonite panel. So you need to get something built on the back of this so you can put this. You can't really do it this way. You got to build something on the back. So basically, you just get some straight pine wood. It's very cheap. And if you had a saw, you can saw these in like 1x1s or 1x2s. Sometimes at the hardware store you could buy them like this. It's just really simple. But you have to put what we call a cradle. This is a cradle, and you basically just get wood glue. I prefer Elmer's, and you glue a bead on there, and you have to be careful because that'll press out. I'm not going to touch it. And you put this on. Now I've already pre-cut these, and I'll show you how I pre-cut them in just a minute, and that's another. And then you can get these cool clamps. Now this is actually a good thing to invest in because I use these for all kinds of my artwork, framing, painting. I use these to clip things when I'm painting on my board. They're actually great. You can get these in different sizes, but these clamps are the best. And so you clamp this on until it sets up and dries. And you'll notice that I've got these pre-cut so that they go around like so. I'm not going to take the time to glue them all, but you see how this will create what we call a cradle. So now you have something to put on the side. See that? Okay. So we're going to put this, set this aside, and bring this one out now that has been cradled. So we're going to go to this step. Now, before you're asking, well, how do you cut that wood? You can buy one of these miter boxes. This is an old one. It's wood with a saw, but you can buy these at Home Depot that are plastic for, I think, 15 to 20 bucks. It's not that much, and you'd be using it over and over. It'll last forever. You can do 45 cuts, and they do have the cuts already in them like this. And in the plastic, obviously, they do. So when I cut these pieces, you just set these in like so, and then you just cut where you want to cut, and that guide helps you keep it so it's straight. You just cut right through the wood. Okay, so pick yourself up one of these, and you'll be set. Now you get to this point, so you have the cradle on there on the painting. You can see that from different views. So now you have the piece that has been cradled with the pine glued on there. Obviously it's dry. You have to let this set up, because if you start hammering into this and it's not set up, then of course it'll pop off and you won't be very happy about that. I let this set, if you read the directions on this, you probably ought to let it set at least for 12 hours, maybe overnight, before you start hammering on it. Okay, so at this point we're ready to now attach the sides that will become the outside of the frame. You notice that I've already attached one of the strip molds that I painted on the edge, and I didn't bring any paint to show you, but you can tell these come in longer lengths, like 4-foot lengths, and I'll just take a whole length. As a matter of fact, I'll take 2 of these, hold them out here, and take my spray can of paint, flat black, not gloss, but just flat black, and spray the edge of this all the way up and down. You can see how it's got a little overspray, but you do that 2 or 3 times so you have a nice black edge on that pine. And then you can cut these to the size you need for each. And I'm going to show you how to do a 45 when we get to this part, but you don't need a 45 on these. You can just butt them up together like this, and I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but first of all, let me show you how I attach. Now, it's important that you attach this on the side so that it's inset below the painting surface. And I'll show you with this one how to do that. So you notice I've already got this one tacked on with a couple of brad nails, and I purchased one of these. I've used this over and over and over. I've paid for this over and over. It's just a small brad gun. It's an electric one. But you notice when you put this on the side, this is the inner lining that we would call it. You can see I'm lining that up, just butting it right up to the edge. And if you can see, there is the edge of the actual substrate or the masonite, so that I don't want to put it even with it, because that makes it so that you wouldn't have that nice inset. It looks like it's floating in there, but really it's just attached to the side at in below the surface of the masonite like that. And then I would go ahead and attach it with my nail gun, or if you don't have a nail gun, just get you a hammer and some small brad nails like this, and then just hammer it in. Because remember, once this is already done, you can hammer these in like so. So just a hammer and a couple of brad nails. Now I would go ahead and finish that with the other black until it completely goes around. Okay, so now you can see that we're hit there. And then it's ready for the cover, or the edge, which is the actual oak or whatever you choose. And I take that, and I don't mind if it lets that poke out the back, that's the back, but I do want to make this one parallel with the surface, the top surface of the painting. So you see it lines up. You don't want it down like this, you don't want it above, you want it so it's right lined up with the surface. And then you can go ahead, and once you've got that lined up, and this is already pre-cut, and I'll show you that in just a minute, then you can go ahead and attack that one. And this is a harder wood. Needs a little bit more oomph to get that in there. This is where your 45 is going to come in handy, because this is where you do want to cut the 45s on your wood, because you'll have a nicer finish like this. You can see how the edges are 45, which is conventional, normal for most framing. But the nice thing about this miter box is you can cut these 45s any way you want. You come in here, you cut, these are just set up for 45, that's it, you don't have to remember anything else. So with that, you can cut your 45s, you cut them and you measure them, and it's best to measure down at the bottom of where you're going to cut, and then cut that 45 up from your mark. So you make your mark right here. You see my pencil line right there. And then I set that in the box so that it lines up where I cut that at the 45. Sometimes you'll have to turn it a couple of ways to make sure you got the right 45 going. And then if you keep adding those around, you'll have this really nice frame. Works both ways. And if you practice this, you can actually do different things. Like I went to Michael's and got a, they call it gold leafing and silver leafing. Of course, it's probably not real gold and real silver, but it looks like it, and it's not very expensive. And I took this wood, it's just like the strip mold, and gold, or actually silver leafed it, and then I did some antiquing on it. So you can do some pretty cool things. I sort of sprayed black, painted the backside of mine black, kind of like what Trudy was showing you with covering the paper. It's kind of nice to maybe paint the back to make that a little more professional. It's a little dirty now, but you see that you can do that with different kinds of frames also. So that's pretty much it. Pretty nice frame, very professional, not very much money, just a little bit of know-how, a couple of tools. There you go.